All right, what's up, guys? Speed here, and I am with PPD. We're going to be going over a few personal questions about his life. He is the current captain of NIP and the TI5 winner. What is up?
Yep, just chilling. I'm excited to help you out here with this video.
Yeah, so we're going to start with a few basic questions. So did your family support your esports endeavors? Like when you were growing up, was there a lot of resistance against you when you started playing competitively, or were things kind of just chill?
Yeah, no, it depends on the age. My parents were like really, really strict when I was growing up, like in middle school and high school and stuff, and I had to sneak play video games in my house because it was like if they heard me or saw me, like I was doomed. It was over. My dad was super strict. The thing is, like, my friend is the guy. He lived in this other neighborhood, and he's the one that really got me into Dota and video games and taking him really seriously and being competitive and stuff. His parents didn't care at all. Like his parents were just like, as long as you get good grades, like you can do whatever you want. And
Okay.
I was like good grades, like I had a job, right? I played sports like every season, like, and my parents were still just on my ass the whole time about the video games. So
Do you think like that pressure from your parents almost made you want to play more? Because that's kind of like a common thing, right? There's a lot of resistance, and therefore you
yeah,
almost push for it even more.
yeah, but there's like an obvious interest, right? Like I was so compelled to play video games because to me they were just so much fun, and a lot of people think video games are like that. Like video games are really fun for a lot of people. So yeah, but when I was a kid, it was just like the desire to play video games exceeded. I was willing to make my parents mad because
Yeah.
it was worth it. It was worth it.
No, I think a lot of us get that. A large percentage of the community feels that way. But then what was the point where they started to back off almost, or at least be more understanding?
Basically, when I first started, I was actually in college. I guess you could say is when I first started playing like in-house leagues for Heroes of New Earth, and I just kind of sat in my dorm and just like people would go out and do things, and I was just like, nah, I'm good. Like I'm just gonna play Han tonight. Like peace.
So they didn't even know. It was just kind of like a
Well, I mean, people knew. Oh, my parent. I mean, my parents like it's a funny personal story. So there's a pretty good college in my hometown where a lot of people go, and it's like pretty cheap. But I could go there, and that'd be like a commuter school where I could like drive to class every day and drive back home. So it's like super super cheap, and it's a really nice college. So I was originally like maybe gonna go there, but I had applied to other universities such as like Indiana and Purdue, which is where a lot of people apply from, and I had been accepted to these other universities, but
okay.
my parents like didn't want to pay for me to go to college because like they knew I would just sit in my room and play video games all the time because it was like really really expensive to go to school in the states, obviously,
Yeah.
and especially like when you send your kid away to like go live in a dorm, all of a sudden he has like his own apartment that he's paying for, like a lot of costs involved. They were like, we're not gonna pay for you to go away if you're like this addicted to video games and like this is all you're gonna do is just play video games all the time. So I just stayed like in town, but I quit video games for like 30 days. I met this girl, so I had this like relationship going on where I was like dating this girl, and I really liked her. So I was like, okay, fine. Like I'm gonna have this girlfriend. I'm not gonna play video games, but I'm gonna go to school in town, like in my hometown, and live with my parents for a while.
Wow.
Once they saw, no, the second that they saw that I could give up the video games, right, and like have this life outside of my bedroom, they were like, okay, you can go to college. So I went away to college the next semester,
Oh boy.
and I just spent my entire time just like playing video games, and I got like really good at them, and I started playing in-house leagues for Heroes of New Earth. And that's when like I joined my first team, and this was the first time I went to DreamHack to Sweden,
Okay.
and I had to pay for all of it myself, the trips, like the flights, and it's like all the money I had. So, and I didn't win
Wow.
anything at those first two tournaments. So that like my dad said this thing to me. He was like, "There's worse things to blow your life savings on at 20 years old than like two trips to Europe." You know what I
Yeah,
mean? He's like, "You could have spent
for
your
sure.
money in like way worse ways." So great experience, right? And
Okay.
definitely
So there
like
was some slight understanding then,
yeah, yeah,
if
once
you
I
said
mean I
that
was
right.
paying for it myself, like what are they gonna say? Like I'm 19, 20.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
Like they can't really stop me.
Gotcha.
Once your parents figure out that they can't stop you, then they have to be like much more supportive. Otherwise, like you just don't ever
Yeah.
visit them or don't ever talk to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
That's a good point. Yeah.
if your parents like actually like you, like my parents love me, so they are incredibly nice to me, even though I make like all kinds of bad decisions. You know what I mean?
Of course.
It's
Would you recommend that 30-day debate to anyone who's trying to do
it,
something like you?
I mean, I had fun not playing video games for a while. Like there is life
Okay.
outside video games for sure. You just have to really work for it. It's really easy to like not do anything and just sit in your room and play video games. Like it actually takes like some guts to like, go out to a bar and meet people or hang out with friends and be social, right? I think a lot of people that play video games a lot, like they're out in these situations and they kind of think like, man, I'd be having way more fun if I was at home playing video games. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure.
I think that's a lot of people.
That's
So
that's
it's
super
like
true.
then they start like reevaluating their time, and then eventually you just don't go out because it has to be something like really good for you to go out because playing video games is just so much better.
Yeah, yeah, it is like the ultimate excuse, basically.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
it's really easy
that's
to not go out.
for sure. That's a super cool story though about like
The
going
girl,
to
the
college and
girlfriend. I guess I
yeah.
I never really credited her for all of my success, but maybe it was maybe she was the
You'd be
reason.
nowhere without her. No, I'm kidding. That's pretty cool though, honestly. All right, well, let's move on from there. What is the greatest thing you've done or bought with your earnings?
Yeah. So I don't spend a lot of money. I save most of it, as most esports players should be doing. Um, I live in big cities. I lived in San Francisco, San Diego, Denver, Dallas, and now I live in Stockholm. So I just rent apartments, kind of wherever I go because my life is so, I don't know, I move around a lot, right? So I don't
Yeah.
like own a house or anything like that. So I just jet around. So that's where a lot of my money is meant or went to like paying rent for apartments. But it's been a
Okay.
great experience. And I have like a car, but it's like a 2016 Jeep Wrangler, which is like a nice car, but it's not like money car.
No Lambo.
No, no, nothing like that. So nothing crazy. Like everything I have in my apartment is like super replaceable, and I wouldn't miss it. So no,
So basically, you spend the majority of your money on flights and probably Mexican food, if I had to guess.
I mean most of my flights are free. Like either like NIP pays for them
Oh, okay.
or tournaments pay for them.
Okay. So maybe in the future, though, you'll have to get back to us on
Yeah,
some crazier things
eventually,
you've
no, for
done.
sure. Like once I figure out like where I'm gonna live the rest of my life, like boom, money is going down. Like I'm gonna have this super nice house. Like I'm gonna have this like I mean, depending on where I live, maybe this amazing car.
Okay.
The two golden retrievers, like they're gonna have the best. I don't know. They're gonna have the best lives. I'm gonna be the
Yeah.
best.
So you're just playing the long game. You're
Yeah, I'm just
just waiting
waiting.
for your time.
Yeah, I want to hit that peak. Like the sweet
Can
spot.
respect that.
You
Yeah,
work hard
exactly.
in your 20s, and then you live well for the rest of your life.
That's respectable.
Yeah,
All right.
that's what we're doing.
Well, if you could pick another gaming name, and I know you had a name in Han, but if you could pick another gaming name that isn't PPD or that name, what would it be?
My game name in Han, it was Franzi. I was like doing like it was kind of a play on like Franz Kafka, the writer. I don't know. I thought I was like really fucking smart or something. Yeah. Obviously, you can't really change your nicknames unless you like hard commit or like people like once you're like a certain level of well known, like you just have to stick to it.
Yeah, for sure. But you literally had to. If you had no choice and you had to pick a new name, like let's say it was a rap name, for instance,
Yeah,
and you had.
that's hard. I'm not a very creative person. That's why I came up with the terrible name in the first place. Um,
Is there any other writers or like artists you respect?
well,
Maybe you could play
Peter
on
Van Damme is
words.
from Jean Claude Van Damme. That's what that's from. So
Okay.
but I just kind of thought his name was cool. I actually don't like his movies are past my generation. So I think
NIP.
P Money would be pretty cool. I think
P money.
yeah, just P Money.
NIP money.
Just that instead of PPD, just be P Money. That would be cool.
Yeah, you could probably build a name around that.
Oh, I just had a thought. Like the caster, Killer Pigeon. He's like the worst name. Like what is that? He's a Killer Pigeon. Like some people in esports are like going the other way where they're trying to use their real names. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
Swindle Wellens, he goes by like Kyle now.
exactly. I think that's a movement, right? More people are doing that now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's becoming like more mainstream and like the whole like everybody just being anonymous like isn't a thing.
If you had to choose another esport to play, like Fortnite or CS:GO or Hearthstone, which game would you choose
Yeah, I would definitely if I could choose Dota, I would for sure choose Dota.
other than Dota?
Yeah, and like
That's
yeah, but not being biased. Like I do think it like this is like especially like if you're as successful at the game as I have been, like there's no better pro to be, I think.
oh really?
Well, I mean, we as esport players have like a very like short life on our careers. I think it's realistic to expect like an expiration date, obviously. So Dota players are
True.
like some of us have made like money that's like you go look at like top 50 esport earners, they're all Dota players. Like all those
Oh
guys have
yeah.
like made enough
True.
money to like to say like these years have been worth it, even if Dota does end or if they don't win anymore, right? Like they're still good.
Yeah. Okay. But what about like any of the new
Any
games?
new games?
Yeah, for sure.
Man, I like think I feel like I think about the business side more so than anything else when you ask me this. So Counter Strike, I don't know. Counter Strike players got it pretty good too. They have like really high salaries, but they travel to like events all the time.
Okay, so they're always on the move. So it's a
Yeah,
trade-off for them.
they like I was looking at like the number of lands that we've gone to compared to like how much the CS:GO team of NIP has gone to, and it's like They do like 3 times as many lands as we do.
Wow.
Yeah, it's they're somewhere like every weekend. Like it's pretty wild.
Yeah, that almost seems like unmanageable to some extent. Like, can't wouldn't you be always jet lagged or
It's
something of
just
that sort?
yeah, you would think. I don't know. Maybe they're just good at dealing with it or don't care.
They're just numb.
I don't know. I don't know. CS players make good money, but they definitely travel a lot, which I don't. I've grown to be accustomed to it. I guess you could say.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So you would definitely pick Dota, which is cool, right? I mean,
Definitely, for sure.
why not stay where you are? Awesome. All right, you like video games, but what are some other hobbies, specifically other hobbies that maybe people wouldn't know of that you enjoy?
Let's see. I really like snowboarding. I'd say that's always been like my number one hobby outside of the game. You can't really go snowboarding all the time. Hobbies? I don't know. I don't know.
I know it's a tough question.
It's just video games. Like, a lot of video games, honestly.
A lot of video
Even
games.
different video games I like playing.
Is there any recent board game that you've played? Like,
No, I don't play
you
board
know,
games. They're too boring for me. My attention span. I need flashing, violence, and graphics
not even
on the
like
screen.
poker or anything like that.
I like casinos, like gambling
Okay,
money. I electric craps in Vegas. Like that's my jam.
gotcha. But then when you retire, what are you gonna do? Just more video games, or you think you're gonna try to expand?
No, I think I'll work for sure. Like I think I'll just go into business and inside of esports most likely.
Okay.
Just do something. I'll figure it out. Somebody will hire me. I think. I think I'll be fine.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah, but no, I work a lot. I guess you could say. So
Okay, but you
I like
enjoy it.
I like cooking. Right? It's not that
Really?
unique though. Like
I mean, I don't think anyone knew that. What do you cook?
that's the thing is like I cook like really bad stuff. Like think of like entry level anything like pasta and meat, maybe some vegetables
Okay.
chopped in. Like there's nothing
Eggs
like
here and there.
I'm just not very good at combining it all, right? But I'll buy the ingredients and I'll serve it to myself. But let me tell you,
Okay.
the presentation is it's ugly. It's ugly.
Not there. All right, maybe you'll go to culinary school then. That's a future venture.
Yeah, I went to a friend's house for dinner. He was like hosting a party, like, and it was too nice. It made me feel inadequate. Inadequate.
Well, I mean, I think we'll all be excited one day if we see PPD, future pro chef. That'd
Yeah,
be
it's
a
not gonna happen. There's no way.
damn.
Although it could be nice, like when I retire, right? And I'm just like some dad, and I just like get really into cooking. Then I just cook for my family all the time. That'd be fun.
There you go. Maybe even be a chef for an esports team.
No, that's a little below my. That's a little below me, I think.
Okay, just putting it out there.
Not that. Not, I mean, that's you're saying like a chef. Like maybe I would be. But I don't think about it. Cooking is more of a hobby than a profession for me.
Okay,
Yeah, I used to work in a kitchen, but that's like kitchens are stressful. That's for sure. But they're fun. They're
gotcha.
also fun too. So I don't know. Maybe it's okay. Maybe
Yeah,
I could have done it.
no, I get it though. You just want to chill and cook.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
respectable.
more of a chill cooker. Turn on some music.
Oh
Dance in the
yeah,
kitchen. Like that's more my style.
for sure. I could see it.
Like
Yeah.
drinking a beer. Like that's the dream.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
So
nice.
then we got PPD's future life planned out: mansion, Lambo, two golden retrievers, and drinking a beer while
I
chill
never said
cooking.
I was gonna get the Lambo. Like I never said that.
Oh,
I'm not a car guy. That's the thing. Is like that's why I drive
okay,
like
okay,
some
okay.
Jeep Wrangler. Like I don't really care. Like point A to point B. Like I don't even like driving.
No Lambo. That's out
Definitely
of it though.
definitely no Lambo.
Chill cook, drinking a beer though at a mansion.
Unless I needed the Lambo to impress, you know, the love of my life, the mother of my future children.
Wonderful.
I would do it for her. I would buy the Lambo for myself for her.
Yeah, let's move on from your prospect life or chef PPD and ask you something. Maybe some advice for the kids out there. If there's a kid who is like new to video games and wants to play professionally, what sort of advice would you give them? Because it's a tough market, and I know you know that for sure.
It's
Um,
the thing is you're gonna mess up your life most likely. Like the current life that you have, like forget about it, man. Like you have to play video games all day, every day.
and that's it. Yeah,
Yeah, you got to be on top of it, and like you have to be serious about it too. Like you can't like you can laugh and have fun. Like video games are great, but like you need to be ultra competitive. Like no excuses. Like you lose to this guy, like you got to figure out how to beat him. That's how I was, and like even before I started playing Han and Dota and stuff. Like every single game I played, like Call of Duty, Mario Kart, like you name it. Like I was trying to figure it out. So
gotcha.
that's what I would say is like start taking gaming really seriously. And
Is it almost? Would you say it's a nature thing? Because you were saying like all these other games you played, Mario Kart and such. Is it something that's within you per se?
well, I definitely think that I have like my personality is to be competitive. For sure. And I think that's everybody that plays esports. And it's a lot of people in general. I don't think like competitiveness is that unique of a trait. Some people are like fierce about it and other people aren't. And I just happen to like manifest my fierceness into playing video games all the time and being the best at them.
Okay.
So I mean, I just kind of fell into this, right? This is a hobby turned career.
Yeah, I have one question in particular that I think applies to a lot of people. Can you balance, or what is your opinion? Can you balance college and going pro in esports? Is it possible?
So when you talk about more specific, like when you're saying going pro, are you talking about like trying to become like a professional Dota player, or like
Yeah,
in what ways are
tier.
you going about it?
Can you get to tier one Dota or tier one League, tier one CS:GO while pursuing a full time degree?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, obviously it depends on how how much of a workload you have. Like you have obviously can't be like a super serious student who has to like go to the library every day for or wherever, right? I don't know what they do anymore. Probably the library, right? People do that in college.
Yeah, yeah, cafe, Starbucks.
Yeah, something like that. Like you gotta have time and you have to make time, right? Like I said, so you gotta play more than the next guy, and that's pretty tough to do when you're at college.
And the last question. So this tends more towards your esports career, but how do you resolve conflict within the team setting? So, like, what about yourself or skills you've learned have allowed you to diffuse situations that come up in a team setting?
What kind of a conflict are you talking about? Like people don't like people are mad at each other, like people are
People are
yelling.
mad at each other, or you're on like a loss streak and people are down about it.
I think it's something that exists at the highest level and is like really tough to replicate at the lower levels. The one thing that you have to remember, like at least on like my team for example, is like everybody on the team, like they just want to win as much as you do. And being negative is only working against your own goals. There's a time and a place to be angry and have like a serious discussion about like what's going on in your team, but it can't just be over everything. Like you need to pick and choose your battles appropriately. If you have an issue with another person or another player or a play they made in game or something like that, like you need to be able to present it in like an appropriate manner. You can't just be screaming at this guy like, "Why the fuck did you do that?" Like that's not how you talk to people. You know what I mean? Some players it's not a thing. Like like Ace, like he's like the chillest guy on the team. Like he rarely ever gets mad and he doesn't talk that much in game. So it's he usually just keeps a level head and just like tries to listen to everybody.
Okay. So you almost have to find your niche within the team. Would you say that's
Yeah,
like
everybody on a team
your
gets
role?
mad once in a while. It's about like it's okay. Like it's very very stressful, right? Like people are gonna get mad every once in a while, but don't go too crazy, right? Like don't say something you're gonna regret. Just try to empathize with other people, I guess.
For sure. Now I have a follow-up question to that. Would you recommend that teams stay together for as long as possible in order to go pro?
No, definitely not. Like your road to pro is like it's like very like ladder jumping. You're going this team to that team to this team. Like you're kind of moving up the ranks of like better and better teams and players. So I do think it is important to be moving around. However, I also feel like it's really important for people to be grouped and playing organized Dota together. I think that like the team aspect is actually something that's really, really, really important. I feel like people feel like the whole like individual skill thing is more important in order to put yourself into those teams, which is why it's tough. Because like you have a large amount of players who think that they're just going to be noticed and picked up by some team by getting like really high individual matchmaking skill. So they don't actually
Yep.
form and create teams which are going to help them improve probably faster than they would just through playing matchmaking is my
Okay.
opinion. And that's like that was kind of the whole idea of like the NADCL thing was like people
Yep.
need to be playing organized Dota in order to actually improve. It's as simple as that. And there's just not. What was your original question? I'm sorry.
No, I mean it was basically around that. It was just should teams stick together, right? Should they stay together for as long as possible?
No, I'm just saying like people need to be on teams. They don't necessarily need to stick together.
Okay. So just keep playing
Yeah,
competitive Dota, like
but
captain's mode,
sometimes
basically.
committing to sticking together keeps like your team together longer, so then you don't just become like this random free agent again.
Okay. Yeah, because I definitely know, and you probably know as well, that a lot of tier two players in particular feel that, or even tier three,
Doesn't matter.
feel
Not
that
professional.
not professional. They don't stick together, and they're not willing to wait until the point where it makes you almost notice improvement. But what you're saying, it seems, is that you just want to at least have the experience of playing in like a captain's mode environment,
Five v
5v5 competitive.
keeping a team together is not an easy task. Like there's a reason why you have these captains, right? These captains of Dota. Like these are guys who, myself included, that know how to build, like form and operate a team. It's like, you know, you're kind of like, we're all like these little like mini companies, and the captains are the CEOs.
Okay, that's a cool way to put it.
That is kind of how it is, and that's why like people bend over backwards to get the opportunity to play with one of these captains. All of these free agents, they want to be on the captain's team. Do you know what I mean? They don't want to like form a they don't want to form their own little stack, right? Because they're like, who's gonna lead us, right? People
Yeah,
look at like the five position support players that do it, but like there's a huge difference between somebody who's confident and charismatic and somebody who plays like, you know, who's good at position five.
I see what you're saying. So you almost need like that guy to lead on every team, at least every successful team.
I think like having some sort of like public speaking and like people skills is very very good thing for captains to have. I think that's not saying that I'm the best people person, but hopefully I don't ramble too much like I'm doing right now. But I think I can explain what's on my mind.
Yeah, you're transparent. Like your team kind of knows what's going on.
They probably sometimes
Okay,
you
okay,
can't overload
sometimes.
you can't overload people. Like you need to present the things that is important for them to remember, especially like my teammates. Like, you know, the things that we talk about is like I try to keep things as simple as possible. When we have a discussion, I don't want people to just talk. That's going to go on for like Dota players can just talk about the games forever. Like you can go on for
Yeah,
10, 20, like, you know, all of a sudden you're in an hour. You're still talking about the same play. You know what I mean? So it's
yeah, for sure.
important to have like, okay, this is what happened. This is what we learned. Let's just try to remember this next time we find ourselves in this situation.
All right, that makes a lot of sense. All right,
Yeah,
well, we're gonna wrap up this segment here. I appreciate you having a look into your life, maybe some more of the personal aspects that people haven't heard before,
no problem.
and hopefully you guys will check out the other segments. We're gonna be doing one on esports, PPD on esports, and something a little bit fun on the side that you'll have to keep your eyes out. Thanks for watching, guys, and hopefully you check out the others.